1, 2, 3. Malyan. Sweet. Okay.
Cool. All right.
Well, I know what you've been doing.
Yeah. And I also know what you've been doing.
Not what you've been doing. So I have nothing prepared for this.
No.
I just thought it's going to be me and you talking. Okay, let's step back a little bit. So, a couple of months ago, I was approached by TesseracT, as always, because I'm a drum for them generally, to do this thing called Portals. I didn't know it was called Portals at the time, and the option that I had was to travel to the UK just as the worldwide COVID numbers were just kind of doing a rocket up to the moon in terms of it kicking off. And there was like a quarantine thing in place once you get to the UK, 2 weeks of sitting down in the middle of nowhere kind of thing, which is whatever it is because the world's broke. But I looked at all of this. I looked at the numbers. I didn't want to become another number. And I thought, if I'm going to have to go to the UK at the moment, I risk putting my health at risk. I risk putting the health of everyone around me at risk. It just didn't seem like a sensible thing to do. And whether or not you believe, whether or not you're a conspiracy person or whatever, like it was just too much of a risk for me to travel at the time. Most people would probably not deem it to be a risk, but I personally just saw it as too much of a risk. So the only time in my life I've ever turned down the opportunity to do something with Tess was this. So very quickly, the conversation moved on to, well, who is going to drum? And I said immediately, you.
Yeah, I mean, I really always appreciated the heck out of that, but it does make a lot of sense. We have like a similar background in terms of the guitarists that we've apprenticed under, if you will, are from the same original band. They're of the same mindset. They both have equally...
Lived in Milton Keynes.
Yeah, they both have equally weird guitar tunings.
Yeah. Totally. I think I was talking to Amos and Ackle. I don't know if anyone else was on the call, but it was definitely Amos. And I just remember being like, it's got to be Mike. But just because I'm fairly certain you knew the material or were familiar with the material at least, which makes a big difference. Like if you've already heard the records, I mean, I'll let you tell me that. Actually, I don't know if that's true. Like, were you, before saying yes to this, were you familiar with any of the Tess material?
Yeah, I listen to it a lot. I mean, it's something that I absolutely love, and I listen to Tess just a lot in my free time because I really just enjoy the music. And I think I was just I was just overwhelmed at first because it was like, hang on, that's a big ask, and it's not a lot of time, because it was a 90-minute show and there was the requirement to pre-record backups just in case everything went wrong on the day. So that was like, okay, no pressure, just learn and record roughly 20 TesseracT songs, and then play them in a live setting as close to that as possible and as close to each other as possible.
That's the thing. Like I feel like with, and I may be wrong, I may about to be slayed by guitarists and bassists worldwide, but learning guitar and bass, you kind of play the same thing each time. You know what I mean? Like it's going to be a bit more forgiving than, at least from a camera point of view. If you're zoomed in on someone playing guitar, it may, unless they're whittling and you're an absolute shredder and you can tell that they're playing different notes. Like, I can't tell what's going on, but I feel, and probably because I'm a drummer and probably because we hit a million things at the same time.
Yeah, I
can tell if a drummer is playing along to or not playing along to a pre-recorded thing. So learning even my own material, if I had to hit things along to a music video in the exact same way that it was recorded for an album, it's not happening.
Yeah.
I can tell you right now, other than that, it's not happening. When you're doing tom fills and cymbal accents and stuff,
yeah,
that's not happening. So what was your process like for that? Or did you just not worry about it too much?
I worried about it way too much. Not only I worried about that way too much, but I really did not want to just walk in and reimagine everything. I didn't want to play just what was on the record. I wanted to continue the live atmosphere that the band had developed for the last 10 years or more. I don't know how long it's been, more than 10 years for sure.
Yeah, 10 years or more.
And you've developed a certain style in it. You've changed parts. You have this sound that's part of the band. And I was like, I'm going to do Jay's embellishments and I'm going to do them consistently. And that's not the versions I'd been listening to loads. There were loads of moments that were just like so different. So I started off by tabbing everything, tab out a song and then record it in one and then just get that done. And that took me like 6 weeks of hard work. And I recorded everything. And then I had a week to go back over everything and try to stick it in my mind as much as possible. But there are so many so many moments when I'm hitting this and I should be hitting the China. There's so many times when there's even like, I think I accidentally did Concealing Fate Part 1. I think I did the first kind of verse, if you will. I think I did that on the hat for 2 of the takes and on the stack for 1 of them. And because of the way that the vocals worked out best on one of those takes, there's a close-up vocal which needs to be introduced for Concealing Fate. I've had to commit to the wrong version, which is on the hat. So instead of the whole thing is this. It's that instead. So it's like, and I just had to.
That was
commit
the
to
album version, though.
Yeah. Oh, really? Thank God for that, because I thought it was just a fuck up.
No, dude, not at all. The album version was like. It was on the hats.
Wow.
And when we started changing things around, like you're saying, like kind of humanizing things, we started jamming it out in the studio. It's.
Okay.
So we took poltergeist in my room hitting a cymbal. It changed into that, which so you got it right twice.
Well,
so that's what actually happened.
So what has been going on in this is that, like, I'm sure subconsciously I remembered the studio version because I've been listening to it since Abbey. You know, I've been a fan of the music since before I was even in Monuments. Like, I listened to this stuff. I think I even did a TesseracT song for like my GCSE level music class. I was just like a fan from the side, just studying for so long. That's why this was like a bucket list gig, and in the best way, because it was a genuine gig that you just couldn't do, and then it didn't step on your toes anyway. A lot of the times when you're filling in for another band, there's all this drama and ego and bullshit, which there was none of this with this. So it was just so perfect for me to just do this one thing and then hand it back. Just do that, and I couldn't have been happier to do it. But there's a lot of what I've listened to in the past, and then there are some of these parts that were just stupid, and I had my own way of trying to work out how to do them. Even if I did ask you for the help on how to work it out, you have your own process. I have my own process. There were a few really interesting moments. There was this awesome thing that happened in Concealing Fate Part 2. I kept messing it up. Where was it? It was in. I've actually pulled some of my drumless and vocalless audio with a metronome here, so I can kind of play along with a bit of music. I think. Whoa, that's loud. Where is it? I think. Stop being loud. Are you hearing that? Okay, by the way.
Yes, I'm hearing that
Yeah.
just fine.
So I just kept doing 2s instead of 4s and 4s instead of 2s, and then it sparked a rehearsal room debate that they haven't had for 10 years when they first worked out how to do it. And I had Amos and Ackle arguing over how it was counted. So it turned out there was this, it was 424, 424, 244, 244. Those were the numbers, with a 2 slapped on the front of it. And then me and Amos had this big discussion about how we're very similar. We learn the micro and the system and how it repeats. But Ackle, and I'm assuming you just learn the whole thing.
I just learned the thing.
Blows my mind. I can't do that. And that's why you're more likely to get those details right across an entire performance consistently, because you've actually learned what they're meant to be. But for me, I've learned the phrase, and I'm then repeating the sentence because I know the grammar, if you know what I mean, rather than... I never got it because it never seemed to add up, but it totally did add up. It was just that 4-2-4 thing, at the beginning of it, there's a little 2 that's its own little one, and then it starts, so... And that's the one, because it's a group of 4. Every other time, that first group of 4 is actually a group of 2 notes and 4 rests instead of 4 notes and 2 rests. And as soon as I got that into my head, it made sense. But I was just the whole time just trying to do it from memory, and especially when you do...
Yeah.
Having the hardest time.
Well, it's interesting that we approach it completely differently. It makes perfect sense because I've seen you read ridiculous music and play it. Like, you can read, and that's something that I can't do. I can do it at a very, very basic level. I can write, but I can't read. Music, not English. I can obviously do that.
Can you not read your own stuff though? Like what the stuff that you've written, can you not read it back?
No, not if it was. I can read it back, but not well. You know, if it was just put in front of me and someone said, play this, and didn't tell me what it was, I wouldn't probably be able to tell you what it was.
Same, honestly, completely the same. It's only because I've done it with the mentality of reading it back. If someone gives me you gave me some of your tabs. The guys gave me some of the TesseracT tabs that existed, and I had to remove all the ghost notes, simplify all the snares, and do it in a very specific system layout so that there was no thought that had to be put in. It was all just in front of me. And also it has to look like a grid, like the notes have to have rhythmic equidistance. I know we've talked about that before, but you know, the way the notes land on the stave needs to look like a grid for any of it to make any sense to my head. So yeah.
So I mean, that concealing fate part 2 thing, like we were just saying, you learn the chunk and where that essentially pastes. Like if you were to copy that and ding, 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 you're learning that section and then how that plays off the 4, that plays off the 4 count. And I can understand how that would unlock everything else once you've got there. And for some people that I speak to, especially my drum students, they want to know things down to that level. And that's real useful. But I don't know why. I think it's just how the way that I've learned music. I can hear that. I can hear where it's repeating, but that's not how I've learned to do it. If you take Stenger by Meshuggah as the example, because that's really the one that unlocked all of that for me. You've got the and then it repeats.
Yeah.
But the whole time you got... Like, all I'm hearing is that pattern, and I'm focusing on keeping that 4 going, just a tish, tish, like keeping that groove going. Because what you're doing underneath, it's difficult for a non-drummer to probably hear where that rhythm's going to land. But keeping it relative to a 4 has always been kind of super important and felt right. And the only way that I've ever got there is by learning the whole thing like that, and not even sitting down and really paying that much attention to it. It just falls on the grid now. Once I know a little bit of it, I know the whole thing. It's a weird thing that I've developed over however many years of drumming.
Well, I mean, to go back a bit to your previous point that you were saying that guitarists and bassists might hate you, is that they basically learn the micro riff, and they don't have to relate it back to the 4 in any way other than in their own head. They've got no backbeat, they've got no groove, they've got no connection to the audience member who needs to keep doing this. They just go da 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 da, and they just need to know in their own head how to stay in time with that and when to cut off the end and all those things. But it's a different mentality when you watch the way that guitarists tab music. like you can tell that it's a guitarist who did it because it'll be in like 5/8 instead of 4/4, which it needs to be because the groove's in 4/4, and it always upsets me greatly because it's like, well, one of the songs that's in the show, and I'm careful not to give away the set list too quickly, of course, but there's one song where I got the tab and it was just like a maths puzzle. I just didn't get it. So I just relearnt the whole thing in 4 and it makes so much more sense in 4. But you've got different members doing things in different meters. I think you've got Metal doing one ostinato that doesn't link with what Ackle's doing. That's a completely different thing. And then you got me and Amos doing a thing as well. And then Dan's obviously like more tied to the drums and the bass than anything else. But yeah, it's just mad. The whole thing's just mad.
If you watch James, Ackle, and Amos on stage, especially during, or not, I can say during most things, other than really obvious like breakdown type things where they're all bobbing at the same time. The rest of the time, they're like headbanging or moving, like as kind of pendulum of the opposite. They're either the opposite. Moss is doing his own thing. Like everyone's hearing and feeling this very differently. And to me, it's all a 3 or it's all a 4.
Yeah,
that's it. Or a 6 or a 4, depending on how you count it. And how
there are 9s. There are definitely 9s in there for sure.
Is there 9s?
Yeah.
Tell me where a 9 is. I've got no idea.
So see, here's my problem: is I don't want to give away the set list, but there are songs that I found the most interesting that I want to talk about that are kind of giving it away. And the name of the song has kind of gone out of my head, but it's the one. I think it's Embers. Actually, I think it's Singularity going into Embers.
Singularity Embers.
Yeah, the end of Embers is like, especially when it goes into after the vocals, and it goes. And I missed a beat there, and then especially. Yeah. That was a nightmare. That song was a nightmare.
Yeah, that's difficult. There's a lot of difficult stuff in that one. That bit especially, I mean, I've not performed that live with the band. We've never done that live.
Yeah, and it was the same with some of the other songs. They hadn't been done live, and it was like, so they were just working it out, and I was like, fuck, I'm in uncharted territory here.
Yeah, dude. I can't wait to see it, because I mean, I don't know how much you know, but I don't even know the set list.
You don't even know it?
No, as soon as I wasn't doing this, it's like, right, I heard nothing.
Oh, shit, I thought you were in the loop.
No, dude. As soon as I'm like not doing it, I think it was just they thought I don't need this in my inbox, and which, to be fair, I'm like I'm not busy, so
yeah,
it's fine. But I was like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what songs you're doing. I don't know if cause I know the songs that we haven't done live before, and I know that some of them are in portals, but it's going to be as much, unless someone tells me that it's going to be as much of a surprise to me to see this on the 12th. Like, I'm probably going to get access to it before the 12th, hopefully.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can tell you it in private before, so you know. But if you want that suspense as well,
I think I want that suspense.
Okay.
There's very few occasions where I get to be a spectator of this band. So.
Yeah, very few. I enjoyed that when I first left Monuments and watched my first Monuments gig, and I was like, this is wicked. I really loved it. I moshed my heart out. It was like a festival in Poland, and Anoop was playing for Monuments, and it was like,
oh,
yes.
Man. Yes, that's amazing. So, what was the most... Go on, no, you go.
Just to connect with that last thing, I just remembered there was a moment at that Monuments gig where someone said, "Who here has never seen us?" Chris said, "Who here has never seen us before?" And there's me front row like this, and it was just like it was just the best feeling ever to be like, I've never watched this band live. I've never done this. This is great.
I'd love to be an audience member for a test show, and like I know that's unlikely to happen unless there is a medical situation, because why else would I be in the crowd? I'm not about to like jump shit from this band,
of course,
but unless I get booted out of the band, maybe, I don't know. But
please God, no.
Yeah, I just start saying no to everything. I'm like, yeah, but Mike knows it now. You know what? Sod it. I'll just gonna stay home now. Mike knows it. Hi, Mike. You can do it. But what was the most like challenging? I'm going to say either part to get down, or just the most challenging aspect of doing it for you. Because I personally can't imagine if someone had approached me with the limited time. Because you had what, like 4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks?
It was like 7, and I had like a week I needed to take off for. I was already so burnt out from all of like becoming a Twitch streamer, learning how to do my own thing after having lost, and I just quit my job to get back into music after my injuries. And then I did one tour of India and Europe, and then was about to go to America, and life shut down. So I think that I was in a bad place mentally. I nearly turned the fucking gig down, dude. I was in such a bad place. It's a dream gig for me, and I was so scared by it. I was like, it was a hard few months. And I've got lots of video footage of the whole process, and I've even got me kind of breaking down on camera trying to learn these songs. Like, probably it was the hardest session I've ever done, and it wouldn't have been if I wasn't in such a bad place. But just the way this all is. So apart from that 1 week that I took off just as breakdown prevention, complete burnout prevention, so it was 6 weeks of prep, and I think I managed to record it all in 5 of those. So. But I think to answer your first question, the hardest part, I can tell you for a fact what that was. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead and play it for you and you're going to laugh the moment that I do it. Did that camera switch over? Yeah. This guy. And this is my click that I made for the whole thing as well. It's a bit different. That fucking beat, that China thing. And the only thing you told me was go left first, and that made no sense to me at all.
Dude, go left first. I don't even start on 2. I'm lazy. I start like shit.
Oh, okay.
I do. Like you're putting in. You're probably doing more of the album symbols than I am. Even I think you're putting in another symbol.
Probably. I learned your NH7 performance. That's what I learned this off.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So I've got the whole NH7 multi-track here. That was what those drums are. This. And it sounds great. It sounds amazing, actually.
Jeez. I mean, I wouldn't want to have to learn it.
No, but it was just to nail that China every 2 and 4, like. And then on top of that I just end up doing the whole thing left-handed so that I can end up. There's so many moments. Yeah,
oh my God.
See, if I try to phrase it alternating, it just falls apart. That would always happen.
How do I do that? So. See if I can even do it. I'll do a. I'll do. Yeah. Kind of.
I think your NH7 has those 2 snares, like.
Really? I can't even think without having to think about it. When I'm on autopilot, it's so much easier. But having to break it down, I'd have to watch a performance of me.
Yeah, I mean, you got
crazy.
You got to do it on autopilot because you had all the chill time to learn it. Oh yeah, no, you do get doing gado doing that.
Yeah, it's a. Yeah, it's a. I think.
Yeah, see, mine was. But I'd always screw that sticking and go. Something like that, and I have to do it consistently as well.
Oh man, that's super difficult.
While I remember, also I've got to thank you for lending me this the Porter and Davis. I am so loving this. This is Jay's. This is not mine. But I'm a convert. I'm a complete convert. I love it so much.
I'm yet to try one with this kit. I think it would make the world a difference. I might see if I can get my one from Nebraska and then maybe get a new one for the whatever the next Tesseract tour is in North America. But those things are amazing. It makes such a difference. Like if a dry stage feel like a club venue where you've got subs on
it makes this room feel like a club venue, and it's like this is a shed by comparison. So yeah,
so damn good. I'm just trying to think.
Nocturne as well. Nocturne was particularly difficult. The Jay-isms in Nocturne. The like, what was it? This one. Like that was really fucked.
Yeah, dude. That one, I've changed that one up a little bit, and there's two ways that I play it. So after we get past the first one, so. That's one way of doing it.
Yeah.
So I'll do like a right hand fall thing.
Oh, sick. That's like how you were doing it, because I was trying to work out how you... That would have made way more sense.
It's so easy. Do it like that, like just a triplet. Then you're just doing that, but you're doing a double.
Like and get the consistency there.
Yeah, dude. Well, that sounds sick.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what the part was. I can try and play it with it. I mean, it'll have to have click, and then you can watch how I did that.
Yeah.
Will it be here? That sounds like. Also, I've got a click comparison here. So you got Cubase's ding 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 ding, and you've got my one there as well. I'll just mute the drums real quick. Oh yeah, that as well.
Nice.
That's pretty much how I had to work it out.
That roll. I like that at the end. That was real nice.
Thanks. I just had to put in Malyanisms to fill in the gaps that disappeared in my head.
I tell you what, I'm really looking forward to seeing how you've attacked some of the fills, because I'm going to assume, you don't have to tell me, but I mean, I know Nocturne's in it now, but like the shit, I forgot the fill.
I can show you. I won't be able to tell you because I'll have to. It's the same. I have to play it. Let me try and find it. Where is it? The first chorus. It'll be like here. There it is.
Before that, it's like
yeah. Oh, I had that bass slap thing as well, and I had to learn that. I had to turn that part in, like incorporating that. So I have to go back, find my bearings. I think that's how I ended up doing it.
Oh my God.
I don't know what that is. I just know that it sounds similar enough, you know.
Yeah. Oh man. So I I love the approach with the fill. That it makes it a more like I don't know. It's definitely more. It flows more. It's super difficult to do the fill that I call programmed for the album.
Yeah, I couldn't learn it. I was like, it's gonna sound bad if I try and do that on this scale.
And it sounded bad for me for the longest time. For at least like a couple of years, I'd just get to it and go like just do kind of anything instead.
Anything that's not that, yeah.
Anything that wasn't that, and the way that I broke it down in the end, that was a rare example of something that I had to really break down. So instead of just doing the random whatever that I used to do, it was like, okay, what's going on in this fill? And it turns out it's like I broke it down into 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Kick, tom, snare, kick, tom, tom, tom. Get that down first, and it starts on a like. So it's not even starting on a 1, it's like before the bar. And then after that, it's...
Yeah, I had to be really careful about how many specific sticking sections that I tried to work in, because I just had a limited capacity to get those in me, and I just knew it was like it got to a point where it was almost like if you're like video editors know that if you're rendering out with lots of crazy effects and you're trying to stick to a deadline, there comes a point where you just have to stop working earlier than anyone else might have thought, or that you might have even thought that you could have worked until, wanting to work up until the deadline, because the render time is just going to take a certain amount of time. And it got to that point where I was like, it's just going to take longer for me to get this in me. If I try to go down that road right now, I'm just going to fall off it anyway. So I just I think I just tried to to get the crux moments, which was just like a... I think that was the accent pattern, like So I think there's kind of a group of 5 in there that I was hearing. So I just did 5s my own way and then improvised them in a way that fit the accent. Like, because doing fills like that are like my bread and butter. The Monuments guys have often joked like, "Oh yay, another Malyan 5 fill."
The Malyan fill.
Literally fills in 5. Like every time, it's always something like that. So I just did something like. And then I just learned to end it with, and never the same symbols because I'm just guessing.
Yeah, same.
Oh, I had to angle this differently for Concealing Fate Part 2 to be able to switch crashes. I had to angle it away from me to even get into that. I never play main on a left crash. I've always wanted to, but it's never been possible because everything's really low on my kit. Like everything's at my arm height here. Nothing's ever above that. I mean, I see that yours, it's more like at the top of your shoulder height almost, or even at your neck height. I can't quite tell.
Yeah, I don't have my cymbals that high.
Yeah,
it's
nothing's above my nipples, basically. That's my rule. No cymbals above the nipples. So I had to angle away in order to get access to it, because what had happened first was I had my left pedal really close to me because and it turned out it was really impeding me because it meant that I was like overstretched all the way down here. And then on top of that, I had this angled pretty flat. So I had to reach into it to get it to there. Bringing it up allowed me to lean back a bit. Moving this pedal forward allowed me to lean back. And then that way I could actually go. So that actually unlocked a key skill that I've been wanting to do for forever.
Nice. How was... We almost talked about it, and then I think the conversation went off in a different direction.
Oh, sorry.
But I'm curious. No, it's all good. The beat that's like... That crazy one.
In part 2, yeah.
How did you get on with that? Because I saw you start playing it earlier, and I want to see the Malyan approach.
Please tell me you did pedal hats in that.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because you just demonstrated it without it, and I was just thinking, like, did I just put pedal hats somewhere that you didn't? That would be insane. No, yeah, because
100%.
the pedal hat was the hardest part of a lot of this, because I'm just not naturally a heavy pedal hat player. One big change I had to make was that I had to make my hats a lot like smaller and tighter, because I was used to big, open, sloshy, and like I was just analysing your performances a lot, and a lot of the sound that you get and that you've probably been learning how to make it sound like Ackle's programming as well. Is this even this is too sloshy, to be honest. It needs to be more like just a lot smaller in terms of its and how open it is. But yeah, that section. But I'm a big leg heavy stamping pedal hat player, so I need it open quite a lot to be able to do this, because I do this with like my whole leg. I do this like whole leg action. So, but I can't just jump into it. I can play along with it and see.
Yeah, dude, I'd love to
see how I can get along with it. Where is it? Because I literally just pulled these 3 songs in: King, Nocturne, and Concealing Fate. Hang on, I'm going to turn that track down a bit because it's just bleeding my drums to shreds. There we go. 2, 4, 4, 2, 4, 4, 2, 4, 4, 2. Ah, shit. Yeah. At that moment, it gets easy. Everything up until there is...
Yeah. That bit especially, because the hi-hats are so hectic.
Oh, man. Just navigating. Even without the fucking ghost, like... I feel like I'm 10 people trying to build a wall at the same time.
It's super difficult. I find it hard to get to go into that is difficult. Like, once I'm going with it, it's fine. But, like, getting into it out of the other thing is super difficult.
Don't you find the bit before with the snare moving around and stuff, don't you find that super difficult, the where the vocals start? Like, I've only got my one splash up.
I'll just hear it as an offbeat.
Right, yeah, for me it was just like, now it's fucked.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like, oh yeah, I'll just make that an offbeat. It's like, great, that's now a new part. And I had to get past that. And then there's that new part. And then, but once it does that... then it's pretty easy, even with the crashes on the 4 that I'm hearing. I don't know if you hear it the same, but I hear it as like 1, 2, like, yeah, 1, 2, 3, crash, 1. But like, there's also that vibe is going on in the chorus with the... And nice. I couldn't do your part at all. I just had to do fills that's like Blue Sky Thinking fills for Monuments fans who know. Like, just build a beat out of fills. Like,
that like, sounds sick though.
That's all I could do. I couldn't deconstruct and relearn how you did that. I just had to do something that did the same thing in a way that I could replicate.
When you say that's all you could do, you do realise that no one else could do that. Like, it's like you're just doing some like crazy fill with the kick in there. I literally just go.
Like, yeah, that's harder for me. My hands are worn out from trying to hit that hard. Like, I need the kicks to
Really?
chill my hands out. Yeah.
I mean, most of the time I do the same as well. That one on an acoustic kit is actually a lot more difficult, but especially to get like the double in over there. Trying to do a double on a saggy floor tom is like, it's not happening very well.
Don't have a saggy floor tom. Make sure it has some tuning. I mean, I
like it to be an extension of the kick. I just want it to be.
Ah, right. Yeah. See, I like that. I mean, this is lower than I normally go because Ackle had me tune it lower, and I was like, fuck this.
Yeah.
So as he made me make it lower, I ended up just using my kick drum more because I was like, well, goodbye doubles. Literally, like.
Let's get into that then. You've just touched on something. So, young Ackle Caney, let's rip him to shreds. What did he make you do to the snare drum?
Oh, I had to use yours. That I was like, I started with this one, and he was like, can we get the bell brass out? And then there was that horrible moment of pulling your beautiful freaking bell brass out and finding out it was broken. Like,
I mean, that's the
shell
backup
is
one, wasn't it?
No, that was your main one. I think
really?
No, it was the backup one. You're right, because it had the DW head on it, the Remo DW head.
Yeah.
And I was like, so then we grabbed out your other one, and that one was fine. But yeah, it was.
I've never even played that snare.
Yeah, it's such a shame that it has that bend in it. It can definitely be fixed, but yeah, I was really hoping that we could have the two snares so that we could maybe flip them out, maybe change tunings as we went through, because he did ask me to tune every snare to the key of every song or to its fifth, and then I couldn't. I did that, but then I knew I couldn't replicate that, so I actually had to ask Cam Spence, who came and drum tech for me. I had to ask him at one point. We were near the end of rehearsals, and I was like, I need one snare tuning that fits into most of the songs. Here are the home keys of all of the songs. I quickly worked them out and went, okay, that's in F sharp, that's in God knows what, that's in J. Give me a snare tuning that worked, and he just gave me one, and we stuck with that for the whole show. And then we'd do, because it's done in parts, and then through those parts the tuning just goes, and then we overcompensate a little bit, so you got like a few semitones of drift every now and again, and I'm pretty sure there's a few moments where like we kept the audio as together as we could, but yeah, hopefully I just really wanted it to be consistent across the board. But I remember I had like C sharp, F sharp, B were the notes of my toms. And I think the snare ended up being an F with a B flat overtone or C. No, C and F. So F fundamental, C overtone. That's what we went for.
Yeah. That's a lot more than I ever get into, if I'm honest. I tend to tune it. I used to tune it low, but only because everyone else wants a really 80s like baggy snare cannon.
He made me tune it low. I had it high, and then he had me tune it low. So I'm really enjoying having my. I've really missed that. Like really missed it.
It's because it's honestly just more comfortable to play a snare that is tuned up. It sounds better as the drummer sitting behind it acoustically. It sounds better, but when you hear it a slightly lower tuned snare. I mean, the Tess albums are kind of, or the way that Ackle mixes them at least, the snare's always super low tuned.
Yeah,
and
it's great. It sounds so good, and I fully fell in love with like having the Evans UV2 head, and then no dampening at all. That's like the most wide open snare sound I've ever gotten, and it was just perfect. I've got my old HD dry on this, and I'm gonna change it back out for a UV2 and just never use anything other than UV2s on snares from now on. I'm done with inbuilt snare dampening. Like, it's in my past now.
I haven't tried the UV2. Is it single ply or like?
It's their double ply, and it's like a clear head that they've applied an ultraviolet coating to make it coated. So it has a top end snap more akin to a clear head. But yeah, they've had UV1s for ages, but now they've come out with these UV2s, and they're just like, they're so good. Like, I remember I went into the studio with, I think it was a record I did, couple of tracks with a band I'm messing around with, and we were with Ramesh, and he really wanted it to be a Remo head, but the Remo head he put on like failed instantly. One of those things where it doesn't sit right, and he just wanted something that worked quickly. So I just said, look, just let me put the UV2 on. I promise you're going to love it. And it was like, oh, amazing. That works. And normally producers, when they like, usually I find like people want remos just because they want something that does sound wide open, and Evans heads tend to have inbuilt dampening, and so they, and the thing that I that always gets me is that the producers, they tend to they'll put a a remo on and go, yeah, that's the sound I want, and then they'll put moon gel on and it will sound exactly like the Evans that you put on in the first place. But I'm really liking this wide open snare sound, and I haven't gotten that in that way before because I never tuned that low. I never discovered it. But also that bell brass, dude, it sounds mad. That whole kit was mad. Like, I never thought acrylic could feel or sound that good. Like, hands down, blown away.
Great kit, especially for the price. They're not super expensive. They're not like the collector's kits.
I saw someone selling one second hand for like 850 quid, like while I was working on it, and I was tempted to just pick it up, but obviously it was a bit too much for me, and I'm running out of space on this wall. I had to put all three of my kits up on the wall, and also that was another massive difficulty of this, is that I'd worked so hard over those 6 months to build up my Twitch, and I basically had to shut down, mainly because I didn't have the energy to just do more streaming and more playing after I'd spent day after day after day of working on that stuff, but also because I didn't know how to explain that I have all of Jay's gear in here, his snare, his kit. I think on my Discord I had to say something like, oh yeah, I'm just doing a session for someone who really, really, really needed an acrylic kit, so I borrowed Jay's, and he's also...
I don't think anyone would have known.
No, but I felt like I have to, because it was all secrecy, it was hard, but it was worth it. I would do it. I would have done it all again. I would do it all again because it was so worth it, and I love the band so much, and I am not complaining. But that was probably the hardest part about the whole thing, because it was like, and now I've just got set up today. This is the first thing I've done. I did some renovating in here so that things could look a little bit nicer, and I can get that done. But this is where I was gonna be around about the time that Ackle first hit me up, was like taking that next step into. I'm probably gonna go full time in streaming and teaching and cut sessions way back. So. So it was but I would have never turned down this, like, even though many sessions I will be going, like, focusing more on what I do here. Like, I'm just so fucking grateful for the opportunity. I know I keep saying that, and I'm just mushing around on that subject, but it really was like a childhood dream. So I'm like, I'm so
awesome.
stoked to have, and I had to do it right. I was really stressed about getting it right. Had to be a perfectionist about it.
I know. I honestly, like, when I knew that you'd be able to do it. Like, I've seen you play. I know how fast you've been able to learn stuff in the past. Like, you were always going to be the guy to step in and do something like this. I just kind of, I thought when we'd started talking, because we talked a little bit at the beginning, but I thought there would be way more like, oh shit, how do I do this? Oh shit, how do I do this? But you've like completely, you've just been able to figure it out, which has been amazing. I can't imagine many people would, or maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, but I can't imagine many people would be able to just dial it in and just focus and get the shit down without having like a daily back and forth. I'd feel like
I had it. I just didn't want to bring you that. I didn't want to give you the feeling like, oh fuck, what if you can't do it? Like, I just wanted to keep radio silence on your end. I talked to Moss. I probably, it makes less sense that I did this, but I talked more. I talked more about my difficulties with it to Amos than I did to Ackle or to yourself. And I know Amos was kind of producing the whole thing, but he just seemed to not let it phase him. He seemed to be able to just be a good ear, and you being so distant from it and handing over your baby, like, I just didn't want to put any doubts in your mind. But I knew I could get through it. Everyone kept saying to me whenever I'd, like, if like I would talk to friends about, like, I'm doing something huge and I'm finding it really difficult because I needed the support. I was in a really bad mental health place, but they'd all say, like, I know you can do it. And I'd say, like, without sounding arrogant, it's not meant like that at all. I was like, I know I can do it. My worry is, like, feeling okay while I work my ass off every day, pushing myself so hard, like, to the absolute limits. Like, I couldn't do any less, because any less would have been enough to ruin the show. For me, looking back on it, I wouldn't have been able to look back on it with pride for the next decade, which I now can. But to get to that point was just absolutely teetering on the edge of what was physically and mentally and humanly possible. It was just, so difficult. And that's the thing I don't think. I think that's the thing that people think, like, how does that person do that? It's like you just have to find a way, because you can't say no. Like, you can't, if you want to do it that much and that's what it's going to take, then strap your learning boots on and get to work. You know, it's no other way.
It's a super difficult thing to deal with. Like, not it's a huge thing to take on someone else's like role, and as much of like, even with, I mean, we're both in the music industry, so we're aware of the smoke and mirrors, but it makes it no less daunting to take on a project like this, having not done it on stage before with the band like that, and it being the biggest production Tess has ever done.
Yeah, like that didn't make it easy. Also, Amos didn't want to worry me about the details of it, so I didn't know much about what it was going to look like. I knew it would be big, but unfortunately, I didn't know what playing under a laser would feel like. And there's one song where you'll see it in the show, where there's lasers just come down all around the kit in like a square around the diagonal riser. It's like I was in a cage, and I had a reflection of that laser in my rack tom, which is usually about where I look to focus myself peripherally around the kit. So I was like trying to play a really hard tom part while not looking at the toms, because I couldn't look at the toms. And you'll see it when it happens in the show. But that was hard. It wasn't dangerous because it was, it was dissipated and the laser was pointing around me. But still, the power just looking into the iris while it was shooting around was enough to make me go like, can't see straight. The strobes, everything else, like I could live with that. But it was the laser in that moment particularly was really like, whew.
Yeah, difficult. I mean, the thing for me that happens during live shows the hardest bit, honestly, is the strobes around part two. If we're flying into a club show and we haven't got RLD for whatever reason, when it's like...
They always go for it, I bet.
They're like, brrr, brrr, and it's like, oh my God, and it's just reflecting, it sends me looping.
Well, this was all in a black space, so there were no reflections of these lights. And it was a huge space. It was cold. Like that was an issue. It was my muscles. It took a long time for me to warm up, and I had such bad stage fright. My hands were so sweaty that I was clamping up, and I was losing all my dexterity and my double strokes and everything for the first run of takes, which had certain.
I was going to ask about that.
Yeah, so that was hard. We did each act. We did each act in a run, and we did the whole show like that. So we basically did one whole pass of the 5 mini set lists that get you to the end of the show, and then we'd do it all again, and then we'd do it all again, and then there were changes that happened at certain points where we'd have to wait 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there. So by the last one, where we started the last take at like 9:30, 10, and where we started at 20 minutes past 9, and the venue had a noise curfew of 10, and it was sort of like we were just recording, and then I overheard like, yeah, if we get a complaint, we're going to just have to stop. And I was just like, these are the close-ups. This is the moment. Like, no way this is happening to me right now. But I went to town on those close-ups, and thankfully, whenever Richard cuts to a close-up, I just slam to that audio and be like, have that moment, like, enjoy that, because, it's a fun bit. So, and he's been really generous about throwing drum shots in. And there's gorgeous overhead cam, absolute gorgeous overhead camera. They put a Blackmagic up above me, and it just looks so good. Like,
oh man,
it's just beyond. I've never been a part of anything of that caliber. It always looks good, but like that. You're gonna be blown away when you see it, man. Like fully blown away.
I can't wait. Where are we now? Is it a third? Or fourth?
Yes, it's the third today, yeah.
So I know Ackle, I was talking to him yesterday, just asking how he's going and stuff, because we're due a catch-up. I haven't seen him at all, even on a video call or anything, in a year.
Yeah, not since NH7, right? Not since
NH7. So we were talking last night, and I said, how's it all going with the mixing? And he thought he had until the 6th, I think. But it turns out that Richard has got something else that he's got to do this weekend, so he actually had until like today.
Yeah.
So Ackle was just like mixing like a madman trying to get this done.
Yeah, and I heard he also has like a wisdom tooth that needs to come out, and he's slamming painkillers, putting off having his tooth work done because it'll put him out of action, and there's no time.
I didn't know that. That sucks.
I don't know if it's public knowledge either, but the poor guy, his dedication is just huge. But he's been so fun about the whole process. The thing I didn't expect was just how much he fucks around in rehearsal. Just don't get it.
Yeah.
He's such a cheeky little. I was expecting it to be like super focused, and obviously I know him. He doesn't take himself that seriously. He's jovial. He likes to have fun with it. And there was even a moment where like we all lost our minds, and I think we all started playing some Iron Maiden like all out of tune and stuff. And it's stuff that it was just beautiful little moments like that I'll remember like a lot, because it just cut the tension completely. It was just. And I'm very similar. I like to throw in stupid little moments where people least expect it. I think I found a moment of silence in one song where I just go, and everyone would just be like, it's just trying to lighten the mood a lot. Like is important when everyone's like 5 + 2 - 7 = ouch. You know.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that's what it's like that on stage. Same shit. Like, especially in soundcheck, because you know what soundcheck's like. It's just the worst. Absolute worst. Especially if you've just like put a new head on a snare, or the.
I kind of love it because that's fuck around time. I like, and I'd always have it where we just have fun, we do something really dumb, like something like don't do it in a way that the sound engineer can't do their job, but have some fun. This is the moment, like, to work it out.
I always get told off. That's the problem because. I maintain that this is a legitimate issue that drummers have. Guitarists, you can just turn down. They can literally just stop the feed to the front of house, and they're fucking around on the guitar, playing the thing. Vocalists can even do it, just not hold the mic. As soon as the drummer's like they're doing your thing on stage, and the sound guy's like, "Shut up, Jay! Shut up! Cool, do your thing." And I'm like, come on, like these guys are all pissing around. You just can't hear them.
And it's not even about pissing around. It's about staying warm. And like you have room on stage for even a practice pad. I mean, I had to cut my bloody rack down because I couldn't stand it. I've made my rack like half lengths either side. Like it stops. They don't make half length rack. I had to make it myself, and then I had to do half height as well in order for the pole to not screw up my stack. Speaking of the stack, Meinl are incredible for like entertaining me on this. I just asked them for a whole new stack because I wanted it to sound like yours. I looked at all the pictures of yours. You do it like this, but it literally is basically the same thing. A holy china, or a trash china in Meinl's case, and a trashy cymbal. But there was this really interesting moment where I looked at it like this, and I have a bit of a running joke with my dad, who's an amazing engineer. He has a habit of fixing things by inverting them. Just turns something around and it makes it better on multiple fronts, and it just makes loads of sense. I find that whole concept hilarious. But I was looking at that and I was thinking, for one, my stick is going to get trashed on that. 2, my wrist is going to get trashed on that. 3, the cymbal itself is going to get bent to heck and never be usable again. And 4, it's expanding all of its sound outwards, all the connection point on a stack. That's where all the good shit comes from. It's not coming from there, it's coming from here. So I think you probably did it like that because you liked the way it sounded. That's probably my assumptions. But when you're miking up, when you're miking up, you really need under miking to sound good. And I just realized if I did that, not only the under mic will sound better, the mic would be out of the way. They didn't even use one in the end, it turns out, like, because it's loud enough, but also better on the stick, better on the cymbal, better on the wrist. And just generally better all around. So it's exactly the same concept as yours, but just this way around. And I'm probably not going to stop using it because I love the sound of this. It's so good. For those who are interested,
I'm going to have to try flipping it.
It's a 16 Classics Custom 16 trash china over an 18 pure alloy custom trash crash, and it's so good. Literally love it. I had broken cymbals that made up my previous favorite stack, and I just don't think I want it anymore. This is just perfect.
Nice. I'm tempted to turn mine the correct way around now.
Well, it's not correct. It's just the Malyan way, I guess.
Well, I'm looking forward very much to seeing this Tesseract done the Malyan way.
Oh god, I tried to do Jay justice at every turn. I really tried to give it Jay-isms wherever possible. Like loads of moments, like like things like that. Like, I really studied how you played that groove. What song even is that? Shit, I don't even know what I just played.
Is it Phoenix?
No.
Was it not Phoenix?
That's not Phoenix. I've just given away something else, though.
Seven Names.
Seven Names, that's the one.
Yeah.
Obviously, that was going to sound really out of time for you. It sounded great on my end there. Oh, God.
Seven Names is one of those songs that we played once or twice live, and then we knocked it on the head because it just didn't come together in the way that we wanted on stage, and we hadn't rehearsed it as a band enough. So
it doesn't really have enough of a moment at the end to really work in a live show. I can imagine that getting cut. But for a sit-down performance on your screen with great audio makes a lot of sense.
Oh, man, I can't wait to see it. I mean, I don't want any more spoilers. I know that's in there. I think... I
asked you about that first, so like, that's where I figured you would know that one was in there. But that's the first one I did. That was my test track, because it was the one that Ackle started with.
I'm going to make a prediction, and I don't want any face movements from you as to whether I'm right or not. And cool. I don't know this. I literally don't know this because I'm in the dark. So I reckon the songs that have made the cut from our prior discussions are Tourniquet, maybe the end of Nocturne. I don't know if that's been a thing. Singularity Embers, although I know that from you telling me. Seven Names, because you just did it. And I reckon Beneath My Skin. And if I had to guess on another one, I don't think Eclipse will be in there. Maybe it is, but I don't think it is. I would say Cages. Would that... I don't know if they'll have done Cages, you know. I'm just excited to see it. Like, I reckon definitely Beneath My Skin.
Just had to zone out for all of that because otherwise I'll just be agreeing or disagreeing.
Yeah, I'm not looking at you at all.
I was just disagreeing the whole time. Like, that all sounds preposterous. There's no music in this show at all.
It's just like, it's just really nicely shot, but it's like Benny Hill or something. It's like not even Tesseract.
So, all right, here we go, guys. Roll credits.
Roll credits.
Yeah, that's Amazing. It. That was the show. All that work.
Well, I really can't wait to see it, dude. I'm glad that you were the dude to step in and hit drums because the world is broken this year and you're a very capable drummer and I couldn't get over there to drum. I'm glad it's you.
Dude, I appreciate you trusting me. I know it's a hard one. I know as much faith as you had in me, there still would have been a lot of, is it going to be all right? So, but I'm happy with it, and it takes a lot to make me happy with it. But I put everything into it. I bled my heart and soul into this. I probably worked, ironically, I think I worked harder on this than I did for any of the Monuments prep when I rejoined the band. Mainly because I knew I had loads of rehearsals and I knew most of the material already. So this was like, stepping into something like this is just not for the faint-hearted. But I really thank you for your faith in me, and I'm glad I can do you right. And I'm sure. You can't. I'm sure there's no bit where you're going to watch it back and go, "What did he do there?" Because I've really tried to make sure that it would do you justice, do Ackle's part justice, and then just have 5% Malyanisms just to get me over the line and to put a small mark on it, just because I didn't know how to play all the fills like you or Ackle did them.
I expect for me to be changing all of my fills once I've seen this, because I'm going to be like, oh, that's a way better way of doing it. I'm just doing it a clumsy way. But that's the... I'm sure you get this because I get it all the time. The imposter syndrome of trying to be a drummer for a band like this, especially when you see what your peers do. It's like,
yeah. I'm finally getting confident enough to kind of want to stand on my own musically as an artist. But yeah, no, I know I've known the feeling the rest of my professional life and feeling like, well, I do that and that's it. Like that took so much work that I'm not even going to try and do anything else.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well, it's been good to catch up.
Yeah, man, fully.
I'll give you a Skype or something after watching it on, I'm going to say the 12th, but I reckon I might get early access to it if the file gets sent over in a few days' time.
Yeah, so if you do want to watch it before everyone else does, you're of course very welcome to. I mean, I have loads of rough cuts, but I don't want you to see the work in progresses because I've been working as an editor on it as well, ensuring that the drums and the video all line up because I'm hitting that one and you're hearing that one. It's like, So at least I managed to make sure that I did the best I could on that front, and made up for some sloppy playing there for sure. But yeah.
Well, dude, that's been amazing.
Thanks for having me on a call, and it's great to talk about it. I hope we get a chance to do something like it again, maybe on a stream at some point.
Yeah, dude. We should do next time. Do a tour. You have to come on stage and play one of the songs.
Oh.
Come and do Nocturne, and I'll just step out.
I'd love
come and see us in London. And
or can we just set up a tour together first, and then we can do that? Because I just love.
That's true.
I just loved it. LXD number 2, or just Mon Tess. Just it would be the best thing ever. It's been too long since we did that. Like it's nearly 10 years now.
It's been forever. I mean, I know that there's a huge camp that want LXD to happen. It was. There's a chance of it happening in America last year, and it didn't happen for industry reasons that I won't go into. But it needs to happen at some point.
Yeah.
Like there's no one in any camp that's like, no, that's a stupid idea. Like it's just schedules need to align with like recording schedules, touring schedules of the various bands involved. Well, us, you guys in Periphery, needs to do that instead of being like that.
which it always is.
Which it always is. But I'm sure it'll happen at some point. We'll get it around the
And when
world.
that does, learn a Monu song and we can call it even.
I find so there's a lot of Monument stuff, or a lot of stuff that you play that's like fast. And I played it on a stream the other day, and you commented because I was
watching.
How do you do that?
I can't remember which track it was. It wasn't one that I'd recorded, but it had loads of Anupi fills in it.
Anupi triplet fills, and I'm like,
oh shit, yeah,
my
shit like that.
I can't do it. I'm just like my brain never goes there. My brain goes to kind of slower. I'm not going to say groove bass because that implies that isn't groovy, which it is. But my brain goes to a much more like mathematical, less algebra place, I just don't. My body doesn't want to do that, so I need to practice it because that's offering me resistance.
Well, yeah, have a listen to a Monu track that will always, one of the ones that's like always on every tour. Or I'll give you a heads up if we're doing it together, and then we can have a trade-off.
A drum off.
Yeah, well, no, you can just do one song with the band. Although you haven't practiced it and haven't prepared it in that same way, so it's probably a bad idea. But just if that happens, make sure they keep my metronomes in it, because I can't play to your clicks. They're too fucked. They're way too fucked.
Dude, I saw on the Animals as Leaders test tour years ago, like 2015, whenever it was, Naveen got up with Matt and they played KFO on 2 kits.
Oh,
and they
shit.
They did it in rehearsal, and then they did, I think it was the London show, or I don't know which show it was, but they did it on stage, and it was amazing.
That's so cool. That is so cool.
Sick.
So yeah,
so sick.
maybe if there used to be this venue, I don't think it's still there, called KIF in Aroa in Switzerland, and that's where I did the dual drum with Icarus Lives with Matt, and the dual drum I did as well with After the Burial with Dan for Berserker. So if a tour ever went via there again, because that's a really wide stage with a massive desk, loads of inputs. So,
is that the venue with the bus crane?
No,
or is that somewhere else?
That's somewhere in Holland. I haven't been there yet. But
okay, all right. I know the one you mean.
It does have a lift, and then it's an upstairs with a super wide thing, and then you go down a floor to the backstage. You have like a long room with a foosball table.
Yes, I'm picturing it. I know it. I know the exact one.
Yeah.
It's like that office room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have the shower room as well. And then there was that little band room as well on the side where you could get a nap in. They had their own
They
beer.
serve food in the beer tap, that thing that's in the dressing room, and the food's downstairs in a little venue.
Yep.
I remember, yes.
Yeah, I love that place. That was like, because I think so many fun memories of that spot. It's just a great spot, and that's where I would meet and work, and we would work with Patrick Habeli as well. He would always be house there at the time, so it was like homey central every time. The lighting would always be like on point, and it was always sick.
Oh man, touring memories! I can't wait for touring.
They're coming back. They're coming back. We're gonna get there.
I reckon. Yeah, 2021. It's going to change. Things are going to turn around, and I reckon it'll start to happen again. I was talking to Chris Allison this morning, just chatting back and forth, and he said over there he's been able to do a couple of shows. It's 50% capacity, and everyone's sat down. But in the last month or two, he's done 2 shows, and I'm like, I want to do shows, but I want it to be safe.
Yeah, it's. I think we're in a much prangier place in both England and America. I think I've heard of friends in the Emirates as well who are still doing gigs, and like lockdowns aren't happening over there, and it seems to be all okay. And it's like, it's better safe than sorry at this point. We'll work out a way as a whole to get over this, and we'll do some great shows for it. I have no idea when it's going to happen. I'm not even putting my hopes up for 2021 because I can't have them crushed again. I'm just gonna slowly wait and see. I'm not even sure if I want to be like the first wave of bands to go on tour, for the first time, working it all out again, and because it's just a complete unknown. I probably will end up doing some stuff for sure, but with Monu, for sure, I'm pretty certain we'll aim to get back on the road as soon as possible. So, but it is just scary, man.
Yeah, that's why I think the Trivium tour that we're going out on is like November. It's like as far into the end of the year as you can get.
Yeah, well, congrats on that as well, because that's a huge one.
That's going to be amazing. The biggest venues we've played that aren't festivals are on that tour.
We were just getting a Deliveroo in after a grueling rehearsal, and then the guys were just like, "Oh, it's announced." And they were like, "Oh, cool." And then I was like, "What is announced?" And I was like, "Trivium." And they just like, wicked, sweet. All right, what are we doing now? Mashimo? Yeah, cool. I was like, "You just announced a fucking tour, Trivium. That's huge."
Yeah, dude.
But obviously, it was shock value for me. But you'd all known about it for ages. So.
Well, we have, but if I'm honest, the announcement was just like, oh, okay.
Okay, there it is.
Yeah, it was like, I just checked my feed. It's like, oh, there we go. Okay, cool. It's announced. Everyone knows now. Someone told me on my stream, they're like, congrats on the tour. I'm like, the tour.
The tour. You know about the tour.
The tour. the tour that I'm doing. Yes. You have to... I didn't know. I'm very, very often, I don't know about things that are going on until it's done or is being announced. It's like I get a spreadsheet like 8 weeks prior saying, do you guys approve this? This is kind of the rough budget for this tour. Do you want to do it? We're like, yeah, looks all right. And then 2 months later, artwork's out for it, and I've either missed correspondence, they've got the wrong email address, or something in between. But I mean, it's going to be great. I can't wait. I want to be back on the road. I want to see my boys.
I definitely want to come out to that. Definitely going to be there.
Yeah, well, we might guest list you. Might.
I won't hold my breath because I'll die.
Well, dude, once again, that's been a flipping pleasure.
Thanks, man.
I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see what you've done, and I can't wait to change my drum part.
I've ruined it for everyone. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert, yeah. And I'm going to hit not record now.
Cool.